Dr. Stephen Hawking fundamentally changed our understanding of the universe, but did you know that he told Sheldon Cooper to propose? From groundbreaking research to a popular sitcom, here's what he was up to the last year of his life. While Stephen Hawking let his mind wander through the mysteries of the cosmos, he was also keenly aware of what was happening right here on Earth. Given the combo platter of climate change, asteroid strikes, the steep population growth, and the specters of another deadly pandemic or nuclear war, Hawking's opinion was that humanity was toast. Since Hawking predicted the end of the world, he suggested that Earthlings had better be prepared to pull up stakes and find another planet to inhabit, and the clock was ticking. He discussed that in a 2017 television series for BBC Two titled Stephen Hawking Expedition New Earth.
I am convinced that humans need to leave Earth and make a new home on another planet. To stay risks annihilation.
With the help of engineering expert Danielle George and physicist Christoph Galford, who was once Hawking's student, the series explored the practicalities of relocating to a different planet, unveiling cutting-edge research revealing that achieving that goal was closer than most people may have realized. Stephen Hawking's reputation was internationally known. It didn't hurt that his life had been told in the Hollywood biopic The Theory of Everything, featuring actor Eddie Redmayne in the leading role. As a public figure, he was as recognized in the annals of pop culture as he was in the halls of academia. This led the Cambridge-based scientist to travel the world, which included frequent trips to the US. When Donald Trump was elected president in 2016, Hawking worried over whether he'd still be allowed into the country because of some of the things he had said about Trump.
But I fear that I may not be welcome.
That fear was likely justified given his response the previous year when asked to explain Trump's popularity with American voters.
I can't. He is a demagogue who seems to appeal to the lowest common denominator.
Among Stephen Hawking's many television cameos were The Simpsons and Futurama, both of which sprang from the imagination of Matt Groening. Hawking declared himself to be a huge fan of the latter, making multiple appearances in the show over the course of its run.
Hey, the usual Professor Hawking.
No, today I'd like something good.
Hawking talked more about Futurama in a June 2017 Facebook post hyping his appearance in the Futurama mobile video game. He wrote, "If you love Futurama as much as I do, which is more than George Takei does, you'll be excited to learn about Futurama Worlds of Tomorrow, a new mobile game arriving June 29th. The post accompanied a clip in which he appears with animated versions of Takei, Dr. Neil deGrasse Tyson, and Bill Nye the Science Guy. Speaking at New York Comic Con in 2023, Futurama co-creator David X. Cohen recalled one time that Hawking provided his voice for the show, telling viewers, "He could have just emailed us a file of his voice, but he wanted to record it like our other guest stars did. So we went to his house, we set up microphones, and he had this cool setup in his living room where he had mirrors on every surface, just so he could see what everybody was doing, and he recorded his lines into the mic for us. That was super exciting." During the summer of 2017, Stephen Hawking made his seventh and final guest starring appearance on The Big Bang Theory. Hawking had first appeared in 2012 during Season 5, and guest starred in one episode during each of the next 6 seasons after that, although in some scenes only his voice can be heard. Much like Hawking wanted to fully experience what it was like to record dialogue for Futurama, he also refused to phone it in for The Big Bang Theory. Creator Chuck Lorre told The Hollywood Reporter, "All of Professor Hawking's dialogue was pre-programmed and triggered through a voice synthesizer. When we offered to do that, we were told he preferred to program and trigger his lines by himself. He wanted to act." In the season 11 premiere, Sheldon seeks Hawking's blessing to propose to girlfriend Amy.
I think you should make her finger like Saturn and put a ring on it.
By the time the season concluded, Hawking was gone. In the season finale, the show played tribute to Hawking in a scene that, because of time limitations, was cut from the broadcast episode but later shared online. In that scene, Amy and Sheldon received a posthumous wedding gift from Hawking, a pocket watch which had an inscription.
"Sheldon, I'm so glad you finally married Amy. It's about time."
On January 8, 2017, Stephen Hawking marked a major milestone, his 75th birthday, and he wasn't alone in his celebration. Cambridge held a special event in his honor featuring several guest speakers from the world of academia. The final speaker at the event was Hawking himself. He began by recalling how he first became aware of the ALS that would eventually steal his mobility and speech while ice skating with his mother. He said in his speech that he fell and struggled to get up, and his mom took him to the doctor. His diagnosis was devastating.
At first I became depressed. I seemed to be getting worse pretty rapidly.
However, he ultimately experienced the revelation.
While there's life, there is hope.
He ended his presentation with humility, saying, "Our picture of the universe has changed a lot in the last 50 years, and I am happy if I have made a small contribution. Remember to look up at the stars and not down at your feet."
And however difficult life may seem, there is always something you can do and succeed at.
Stephen Hawking had long been a champion of artificial intelligence. That said, he was also keenly aware of the potential problems that could result.
But I think the development of full artificial intelligence could spell the end of the human race.
In a March 2017 interview with The Times, conducted about a year before his death, Hawking offered a solution to prevent such a situation from occurring, telling the reporter, "We need to be quicker to identify such threats and act before they get out of control. This might mean some form of world government." However, he also recognized that the nations of the planet banding together could also lead to a whole other threat, that of a tyrannical global government ruling humanity with an iron fist. Later that year, in an interview with Wired that appeared in November, his concerns about AI had escalated. He told the publication, "I fear that AI may replace humans altogether. If people design computer viruses, someone will design AI that replicates itself. This will be a new form of life that will outperform humans."
Once humans develop artificial intelligence, it would take off on its own.
He doubled down in a speech he delivered that same month during the Web Summit Technology Conference in Lisbon, Portugal, telling listeners, "Success in creating effective AI could be the biggest event in the history of our civilization, or the worst. We just don't know. So we cannot know if we will be infinitely helped by AI or ignored by it and sidelined or conceivably destroyed by it." In the weeks leading up to his death, Stephen Hawking was completing a paper, which was submitted to the Journal of High Energy Physics less than 2 weeks before he died. That paper, titled A Smooth Exit from Eternal Inflation, made some bold predictions about the future. One key prediction proposed that the universe would eventually come to an end when the energy powering stars runs out. Another theory contained within posited that humans would someday discover alternate dimensions via space travel, which Hawking felt would improve humanity's understanding of the cosmos. Meanwhile, Hawking had also devised a mathematical formula that could test the multiverse theory. Hawking's co-author, Professor Thomas Hertog of Belgium's KU Leuven University, believed this paper was Hawking's greatest academic achievement. Hertog told The Times, "This was Stephen, to boldly go where Star Trek fears to tread." Had Hawking lived, Hertog believed that he would have won a Nobel Prize, which is not awarded posthumously. Stephen Hawking's funeral took place in Cambridge on March 31, 2018. A few months later, a celebration of his life was held in London's famed Westminster Abbey. On the day of his Cambridge funeral, however, another event was being held, an Easter lunch put on by an organization called Food Cycle, which provides meals for the needy. A small sign on a table read, quote, "Today's lunch is a gift from Stephen." As Food Cycle's Alex Collis told BBC, the lunch had been funded by a special notation from Hawking and his family prior to his death. Collis said of the gift, "They wanted to do something to support people going through a tough time." Food Cycle hosts weekly dinners in a Cambridge church, using fresh food that would otherwise be thrown away, donated by various suppliers. Stephen Hawking's final book was published in October 2018, more than 6 months after his death. Completed by his family, Brief Answers to the Big Questions was a compilation of Hawking's answers to questions that he was commonly asked. The most controversial of these answers was Hawking's assertion that there is no God. Hawking wrote, "No one directs the universe. For centuries, it was believed that disabled people like me were living under a curse that was inflicted by God. I prefer to think that everything can be explained another way, by the laws of nature." In the book, Hawking also shared his belief that there is intelligent life beyond our planet, but warned that humanity needed to approach these beings with caution. He wrote, "We need to be wary of answering back until we have developed a bit further." In addition, Hawking predicted that time travel would one day be possible. Hawking's daughter Lucy Hawking was among those who worked on completing the book, and she explained why her late father felt it was important.
He was so often asked to give his views and state his opinion on a number of such a diverse range of issues.
Prior to his death, Stephen Hawking was working on a paper, Black Hole Entropy and Soft Hair. Completed by colleagues, the paper was published posthumously, released in October 2018. Hawking's final work grappled with a question that he had been working to understand for decades. What becomes of information when an object is sucked into a black hole? Building on Albert Einstein's work, Hawking presented a paradox about black holes, noting that they will ultimately evaporate and vanish from existence. That, he pointed out, refutes the laws of quantum physics, which dictate that information never becomes lost. Malcolm Perry, a Cambridge professor of theoretical physics who co-authored the paper with Hawking, told The Guardian, "The difficulty is that if you throw something into a black hole, it looks like it disappears. How could the information in that object ever be recovered if the black hole then disappears itself?" As Perry explained, the paper doesn't answer the question so much as lead future scientists in the right direction to someday finding it. He said in the interview, It's a step on the way, but it is definitely not the entire answer. We have slightly fewer puzzles than we had before, but there are definitely some perplexing issues left.